Martijn, you're literally the first one who's going to unpack it in this travel from the book. We start at Erasmus University, and then we go global.
That's a great honor. Thank you very much.
I'm going to applaud for this. Woo!
There it is. Beautiful cover as well.
It's something about the inside of the book, but you'll notice it if you read it carefully. Can I ask you some questions?
Of course.
You work at Erasmus University as an assistant professor, but before we go there, I would like to know from you what listening means to you in your own personal life.
Honestly, I'm not the best listener, so doing this research and reading this book is also a self-help exercise for me. And that's two reasons. So for me, it's very difficult to listen and think at the same time. So often someone says something and I start thinking about it, and 10 seconds later I notice, oh, that person is still talking and I've been thinking.
You're away in your thoughts.
Yeah, yes. So I get in my deep thoughts about what the person is saying. And the second problem for me often is that I have limited energy, especially with two kids, young kids now at home. So I become a selective listener. I listen only when I know that there's something important coming up. So these are two very important aspects that I would like to improve.
Oh, it's interesting that you mentioned those two levels, because those are also levels in the 7 levels of listening. So you will enjoy it, I guess. Maybe you can tell me something about your research at Erasmus University.
Yeah, so I work in the field of happiness economics. And it's really interesting, happiness, because how you feel influences a lot of outcomes in life, also in a work context. So, for example, people who feel better, they're more productive, they're less absent from work, they are less quickly going to another employer. So making employees happier is very important. But then the question is how to improve happiness. And that is the second question I study a lot. For example, now I worked on the effect of virtuous leadership on happiness of employees. Mm-hmm. So showing what kinds of aspects of, or what kinds of virtues really relate strongly to happiness. And often what you see is that also these virtues, the most important ones, like compassion, they relate strongly to listening as well. So,
what are the latest results?
At this moment, what I'm mostly doing is I'm studying how really the top executives, how they influence employees. I'm mostly focusing on the importance of top executives, that their virtues are really important, because otherwise it can lead to a trickle-down effect in the organization, and the organization as a whole can become more vicious.
We train, for example, the online training at Erasmus University. The last one we did for executives, and you decided to put some research on our training. What made you do that?
So in my organization, I work in the Happiness Economics Research Organization. We work a lot with companies. What we see is that the most employees complain about, and which relates the most negatively to their happiness, is that their voices are not heard in the organization, and that they have the feeling that they cannot really contribute to the organization because of that, and that their main issues that they face during their work, that these are not solved by the higher and middle management or HR. So
wow.
It's the biggest issue in organizations that we come across.
Wow.
Wow, talking about relevance.
And I hope, of course, that it works, because that would mean that a lot of people can be helped in becoming a little bit happier throughout, well, at least if we do it for the Netherlands, at first the Netherlands, but later on maybe also internationally. So I hope for positive results, but I cannot promise anything.
Okay.
But based on what I've read so far, I have good hopes.
Oh,
I believe
good
in
to
the
know.
approach.
Okay. Thank you, of course, for your work in the research, and I'm so immense interested in what's happening. So if you got some results, give us up so we can spread them into the world.
Definitely.
Thank you.